Welcome to WatchGuard's Daily Security Byte. I'm Nachreiner. Today's story is the U.S. election hacking concerns. Today is the day before our U.S. presidential general election, and most of the news today had to do with the U.S. being concerned with potential hacks on election day. If you followed the news in the U.S., you probably know there's been a number of cyber-related events with this year's election. It started with the DNC, or the Democratic National Committee, being hacked and having a lot of emails stolen. Now, of course, the DNC isn't anything to do with the election itself, but it's one of the main parties here in the United States. In any case, a number of security companies have actually researched this, and by looking at things like tools, techniques, and procedures from the threat actors, it actually seems pretty clear that the attackers seem to come from Russia. In fact, a number of U.S. intelligence agencies actually have confirmed that the DNC hack seems to have come from Russia. Now, since then, there's been other hacks on top of that. You might remember two different U.S. states had their voter registration databases or their voter registration sites tampered with. Now, no one's actually proven where that particular attack comes from, and as you probably know, the voter registration database isn't anything we use when we actually cast our ballots. It's just the database where voters actually just register. And in that case, no one deleted information, so it doesn't seem like it's going to actually disrupt our election at all. Finally, there's been a number of stories, even some historical, talking about how researchers have proven that you can actually tamper with the electronic voting machines we use in some states. In fact, just today, a security company released information how if you have physical access to one of these voting machines, which you can see in this video, you can actually change the votes and even change the name. So it is true that if you have physical access to voting machines, there's potential for hacking there. All that said, the chance of a hack that really affects our actual election results is very, very low. You can't be a security expert and say it's non-existent, but it's very statistically low. I don't think there will be any sort of hack that changes results. And the reason is, our state-by-state voting system is totally decentralized. Every state votes slightly different. More importantly, many states don't use electronic machines. Many states, like my own state here in Washington, we use mail-in and drop-off ballots, so there's no electronic voting really involved in that particular process. Finally, even these e-machines that have security vulnerabilities, they're not online. There's really no chance during this election that some sort of network cyber attack will affect the results. An attacker would have to actually gain physical access to many, many machines in many, many key states to have any chance at all to sway the election in any sort of way. It's very unlikely that kind of thing will happen. And by the way, I have a GeekWire article that talks about how I really think it's unlikely that hackers can change our actual vote. All that said, there still could be some election day cyber activity. Nothing that could actually change our vote, but things that could disrupt things or actually worry people. For instance, DDoS attacks, or distributed denial of service attacks. We've already seen people create a Internet of Things botnet that have successfully taken down certain sites by attacking DNS. So it's quite possibly that actors out there that might want to spread disinformation or maybe worry voters out there could launch DDoS attacks, but those would not affect the vote at all. On top of that, you might see a lot of disinformation. One of the things that probably is happening right now is a campaign of sharing misleading information. Now, no one knows for sure who's behind this, but obviously attackers have gained control of some sensitive information and have been leaking it over time very strategically. So it's clear there are actors out there that want to use this information to spin their own narrative, or maybe even to sow distrust in our systems. So long story short, as a voter, what should you worry about? Well, I do not think you should worry about the election process being messed up or changed by cyber attackers. But there is a possible chance that things like DDoS attacks could interrupt your ability to access information. I personally don't think it's very likely. I think that we won't see any sort of huge outages, but just in case, maybe you can look up your polling place tonight so that you know where to go tomorrow. Anyways, the very fact that we're even a little bit worried and we're talking about this whole idea of election cyber hacks shows that the threat actors out there have been able to bring enough disinformation or propaganda to worry us. It shows that they've gained access to sensitive information and that bad guys really are using cyber warfare for politics and other things as well. So it is something to think about for the future. Just to summarize, it's very, very unlikely that any bad actor could change our election results. It just probably will not happen. That said, tomorrow you could see some DDoS attacks or some disinformation. So make sure to know where your polling place is before tomorrow. That's it for today's story. Thank you for watching.